Hey everybody, this is going to be a big week. We do have the FOMC coming, we have PCE coming, and we have some Bitcoin miners reporting earnings. First off, I want to turn your attention to this article. It mentions a dissent. Basically, some committee members disagree with others. Now, the FOMC is going to be tomorrow as of this upload, Wednesday, July 30th at 2 o'clock. Eastern time, and the market's at 97 right now, about 96% odds of leaving rates current. Very unlikely we get a rate cut. There are expectations of cuts later in the year. Now, this article talks about dissents and certain members disagreeing with others, and in the last 20 FOMC meetings there have been 2 dissents. Waller opposed slowing the balance sheet runoff in March, and Bowman was in favor of a smaller 25 basis point cut in September. While in the last 36 meetings, we've only seen 3 of these dissents around these interest rate decisions. This article says the string of impressive unanimity within the central bank is likely to end this week, meaning that there is going to be disagreement soon. And based on recent comments, Governor Chris Waller is likely to dissent in favor of an immediate interest rate cut. Also, Michelle Bowman, who's been skeptical of the inflationary aspect of these tariffs. Now, if they both dissent, it would mark the first double dissent from Fed governors since 1993. I think we'll see more and more Fed members leaning more towards rate cuts than against it. And looking at their dot plots, they do see more rate cuts coming, some at different times than others. But I'll leave this down below for you. It also talks about the DXY and how rates can impact that. And it talks about upcoming rate expectations, which we'll look at right now. And getting a rate cut in tomorrow's meeting is basically out of the cards. Almost a 98%. I just looked at this like 20 minutes ago and it's 96%. But nearly 100% chance of leaving rates current. Going to September, we have a good chance of getting rate cut. And jumping to the end of the year, we have a good chance of not only 1, but possibly 2 rate cuts, maybe even 3, if job data backs that, if inflation actually can come down more. But at this point, the most likely scenario that the market sees is 2 rate cuts by the end of the year. Now, I do want to mention Mara real quick. They are reporting their earnings after the bell today. And it's going to be July 29 at 5 p.m. Ignore this. This is just about their Q&A that started on July 21 and ends on the 28th. But we should be getting our earnings for Mara here today. And looking at Mara right now, it's hovering at its 50 MA. It just tested it. We did break our 200 MA recently. If earnings comes out good, which I do expect from the Bitcoin miners. Q2 was fantastic for Bitcoin when they gave guidance. It was right before Bitcoin really started running in Q2. And we should see some beats because of it, which I would expect Mara to hold this 50 MA here, which is also at a previous resistance zone for Mara. I do think this will be a good time to add Mara in anticipation of some good earnings coming. Now, I did want to mention btbt, and it just filled its gap recently. The gap we had here, going all the way down to 294 roughly. We have gone to fill that, and we came down to test our 50 MA. It's starting to be bought up here. I do think this is a good time to buy btbt, buy Mara, buy the Bitcoin miners you like on a red day like this. I do personally expect a recovery from the Bitcoin miners here, especially with earnings. I do think Mara's earnings is going to be good. We have other Bitcoin miners reporting in early August. And we should see some beats across the board thanks to Bitcoin's performance in Q2. And some good forward guidance thanks to Bitcoin's performance so far in the current quarter in Q3. Now check this out. Can you believe it? Spot Ethereum ETFs are at a 17-day inflow. And Bitcoin ETFs went back into strong inflows with 157 million of inflows on Monday, while Ethereum ETFs extended their streak to 17 consecutive green days, consecutive inflow days, adding 65 million. And while ARKB lost 17 million, Bitwise's BitB lost 14 million. Inflows for Bitcoin closed strong at 157 million, with their net assets rising to $153 billion. Whereas with Ethereum, we saw Fidelity's Ethereum fund post a 49 million outflow, and Grayscale's ETHE losing 17 million. BlackRock's fund brought an overall inflow with $131 million inflow. Ethereum is nearing $22 billion in their ETFs collectively, and it's got roughly a 30% move to get to its previous all-time high, its all-time high from last cycle, the nearly $5,000 mark. I would be careful with Ethereum here. It has run quite a lot. I do think it's going to pull back a little bit at some point, cool down first before we go on a next run, possibly come back towards the moving averages. It doesn't just keep going forever. It will retest these moving averages as it always does. And not only that, but we do have a bearish divergence. We have the RSI falling off while the price rises. This is a bearish divergence, and we might see some cooling down, more cooling down because of it. Potentially testing this 3,500. This would be a fantastic place to test. Previous resistance at times. We did bounce off of it as a support. We can come down, retest this 3,500, let the RSI cool down, get through this bearish divergence, let that play out, trade sideways, get that next leg up, and see Ethereum finally get to $5,000. But I personally do expect a little cooling down for Ethereum before it goes on its next leg, before it tries to take out its previous cycle top. And finally, one last thing to look out for this week is PCE. It has been trending down from earlier in the year. However, it ticked up from April's read. The May read was at 2.3%. We want to see this come in preferably under 2.3% and even better under 2.2%. That would increase the odds of rate cuts, and I think that would solidify getting cuts by the end of this year. Of course, we want to see PPI and CPI coming out positive in early to mid August, and along with seeing continued weakness in the labor market, I think we're approaching some rate cuts, which will help risk on. But what say you guys? Are we getting a cut in this meeting for some reason? Are we getting a cut in the following meeting? Are we not getting any cuts this year at all? Is inflation going to roar back, or is it going to come down? What do you think? And also, how are you feeling about these Bitcoin miners' earnings? Keep an eye on Mara. It's going to be very important. It's going to give us an idea of what to expect from the others. Do we see a beat on the top and bottom line for Mara? I do think that is what we're going to see. Bitcoin's performance in Q2 was fantastic. So far, Q3 is looking good as well. So we should see some positive guidance there for the Bitcoin miners. But I'm always interested in your opinions, your thoughts. Let me know down below. Are the Bitcoin miners going to kill it to end this year with some profitable quarters? Or did they already top out earlier in the cycle? And what about Ethereum? Do you think it's going to break its previous cycle high of just a hair under $5,000? Thanks as always for watching, guys. I appreciate you, and I'll see you tomorrow.